Welcome back to another Living Connected for 11 Minutes video. And this week we went back and forth on the topic and we decided to ultimately share our Jesus experiences.
Let's get into it. So why we're laughing when we mention Jesus experiences is because we didn't grow up religious. And so sometimes when we want to talk about Jesus, we get a little nervous to open up because it's almost, I think it's our problem. Like, do we have the right to talk about Jesus?
Yeah. Are we qualified? Do we have the proper knowledge to talk about him? Because it's such strangely a controversial thing. That if you're not in a certain circle, that maybe you don't have enough knowledge or expertise in the subject.
Like you don't have a right to him.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's off limits. He's so high up and mighty above everyone that you can't go there or whatever.
And you also kind of get accused maybe of being a little crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you're talking with Jesus? That's weird, right? So we get a little hesitant to open up because these stories are the closest to our hearts. I mean, they're right up there with learning how to live connected to our daughter across the veil. The experiences that I have gotten to have with Jesus are beautiful and really special. And I just am feeling nudged to share them. But when I told you, you were like, and we had to talk about it and decide, like, is this the right time to share that?
Like, strangely enough, a topic like this that we want to talk about, like all the beautiful things that happen with our experience with him and all the amazing, just magical things. But the comment section will get really brutal with a lot of hate. And it's like, it's ironic because that's so un-Jesus-like. And we're talking about a topic, but we're going to get so much hate for it. And we know it's going to happen, but we're going to do it anyway. But right. It's still hard. It's hard to put yourself out there to do it when you know you're going to get blasted by some people. But we don't care. So.
Yeah, that's okay. We're here anyways. So I'll let you start with kind of our first... Because like I said, we weren't born and raised with any sort of religious background, and we aren't still.
We were in the middle. We weren't non-believers. We weren't believers. We just didn't know for sure. Like, we wondered and we had interest, but it wasn't a huge part of our life growing up. We had been to church, off and on throughout our lifetime with family and things like that. So it wasn't that we were or are anti-religion by any means. It's just it wasn't a part of our life, and it's not a huge part of our life. Traditional religion is not a huge part of our life right now. But so anyway, I guess the first thing that happened is, like many of you know, if you've seen our videos before, we lost our daughter Kenadie to cancer, and that's what started this whole journey for us. And it must have been around 2015-ish.
Yeah. A couple years before she passed away. She passed in 2018. So she came up to us. How old would she have been then? Like eight-ish,
right around there. 7, 8, somewhere around there. So she came up to us one morning, and she had been having a battle with cancer since she was 2 years old. I don't want to go back into the story, but it had been a part of her life since she was 2, and she was, going through it, and she was good and not good and things like that. So it was a back and forth thing, and it was always a worry of ours that it was going to come back for good. As parents, it's like your worst nightmare. So anyway, not to get off topic, but one morning she came up to us and she said she had a dream the night before, and she was in our garage at our house. And she looked outside, and there was this big, huge, nasty storm coming, like these dark clouds swirling around, and it was just this terrible-looking storm, and she was really scared. And all of a sudden, there was a man standing next to her, and she described him to us as most people traditionally think of Jesus, with long hair and a beard, just to a T what you would see if if you ever see a picture of Jesus or everything that we're shown of how he would look. And both of us were kind of like looking at each other like, okay, because instantly that's where both of our minds went. Like, you mean you had Jesus in your dream? And she was really scared, and she told him that she was afraid, and he told her that, don't be afraid, the storm's going to come, but I'll be right with you the whole way. And she basically just felt comforted by that, and she said, okay. And then she looked over, and there was other children in the garage too, and Jesus like directed her over to them, and she went and played, and the storm still came, and she wasn't afraid anymore. So that was like the gist of her dream. And she just ran off and went to play with her little sister, and Rachel and I looked at each other and like, this isn't good, like what storm is coming? But we were comforted a little bit by but I'll be with you and it's going to be okay and whatever. But we'd already been through the storm, and we thought we were past it at that point. So that was our first experience with Jesus being involved with our lives. And it was through Kenadie.
Which makes sense that she would be the one that would introduce us, right?
Yeah.
So later that same summer, I'm pretty sure, so it was either that summer or the next, I was feeling nudged to ask for my very first sign. So I didn't know what I believed in, and I'm just driving down the road and I'm all by myself. And I think, thinking back, I was always worried about Kenadie, and, death was something that I tried to push out of my mind, but I thought about it more than I wish I had to. And so I'm all by myself, I'm driving down the road, and I just have this feeling like there has to be more. I really want there to be more than just this life. And, what's after this life, and is there somebody out there watching over us, and can we get help from them? I mean, kind of all the big questions, and I decided to ask for a sign, and I'm talking out loud, and I'm saying, can you prove to me that there's more? I don't know who I was talking to. I was just speaking out loud, and I said, I want to know that there's more. Send me a sign. I'm the type of person that I'm just busy with my normal day-to-day life. I'm not going to see the sign unless you slap it across my face. I remember saying that. And while I'm talking, I'm getting this weird feeling come over me. And now I would describe it as kind of a spiritual high. But at the time, I didn't know why I was feeling that. I felt connected, but I didn't understand that. And so I'm feeling this feeling. I'm driving down the road. I'm doing 60 miles an hour, and a car pulls out right in front of me, and I had to slam on my brakes. And I was very upset about that because it could have caused a really terrible accident. So I go from being connected and feeling all this magical stuff to like swearing at the person in front of me and just being really mad that this jerk cut me off, and I'm following behind him now, and we get to a stoplight, and I notice that there's one bumper sticker on the back of this person's car. And I was so curious what it said because I was still mad at them. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this person stands for. I don't know. I was still mad. So I inched my car forward until I could read what the little bumper sticker said. And all that it said is, Jesus is real. And instantly I thought of Kenadie's dream. And I just thought, well, there's the sign that slapped me across the face. And it really hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, there was just that feeling of, oh my God, when I read it. And I was like, that's really interesting. And after that, I think that was it. And, we lost Kenadie 2 years later, and I remember feeling like, where are you now? Sort of.
Not sort of. Yeah, just very angry. And like, where were you when we needed you the most?
And I didn't feel him at all for the first 2.5 years after Kenadie passed. I didn't get any signs or, any dreams or anything. So honestly, at that point, I was back to not knowing if I really truly believed that he existed. And even if he did, And he was standing next to our daughter. At the time, that wasn't that comforting to me because I wasn't there. So why does he get to?
Yeah.
So that's how I felt. I was mad.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that in the first few years, like a lot of anger. And many of you probably know that have been through that stuff.
So I had 0 experiences with him. Wasn't sure, again, if I really believed in him or not. But I was meditating. And I was starting to feel connected to my spirit team, which is what I call like guides and angels and Kenadie. And, I was starting to feel connected to that side of across the veil, but Jesus wasn't a part of that at that time.
Yeah.
And then you asked me.
Yeah. So, my main job is a commercial fisherman, and there was a summer around 2020, summer of 2020. It was a tough year for finding the fish. There was fish, long story short, there was fish around, but they weren't always the right size, and it was just a hassle to find the ones that we were looking for, and it was just a real grind. And she was in the beginning stages of really getting into like working with her spirit team and things like that. Well, not beginning stages, but pretty early on with it. And
I was finally receiving messages.
Yeah, she was getting like actually
really connected.
Getting really connected and she's like very good at it and getting obvious messages and signs and stuff. So I asked her, I was like, can you just ask your spirit team like where I need to go? Because I just felt like I was just going in circles, and every choice I made of where to go that day was the wrong one. And it was like, I just couldn't, there was no consistency. I'd find them one day and I'd go to the same place the next day and there's nothing. And then, so it was just one of those years. So I asked her to ask her team, and I thought, hey, why not? It can't hurt. Maybe, I don't know how they're going to tell me where to go, because they don't, hey, go over here, bud. But anyway, so that's what I did. I asked her. And
yeah. So he asked me that, and I said, I don't think it works like that. Because it's like, pressure. Like I'm supposed to come out of this meditation and be like, this is where you need to go tonight, and you will find fish. And I just felt like I was going to let him down. So I said, I don't think that's how it works, but I'll ask. So I was actually sitting in the chair that you're sitting in right now, and I was meditating, and I was, connecting with my spirit team, and I was asking for guidance, and I felt this presence, and I knew instantly it was Jesus. Like I had known him my whole life. Like he was my best friend. Like there was no doubt in my mind or my heart that that's who I was connecting with. Well, okay. There was no doubt in my heart. My mind had all the doubt. I need to go back. I had 0 trust that was really him. I was like experiencing it, and I was all for it. I was excited, but I was like, this can't be real. I'm making all this up in my head. But he said he was going to guide Shane that night to the fish. I was like, okay. So I come out of the bedroom and I go up to Shane and I said, you're never going to believe what just happened. And I said, I think Jesus showed up and told you that he's going to guide you to the fish. I don't really believe that it's Jesus. Like, I think I made this up in my head. And his response was like the perfect response to let me know that he believed me, because he said, Jesus, take the wheel. He was like, he was totally for it. And I said, do you really believe that was Jesus that showed up in my meditation? And he goes, why wouldn't Jesus show up? Like, you believe you're connecting with angels and our, loved ones across the veil, and you don't think that Jesus is capable of popping in? It's like kind of silly when you think of it that way. Mm-hmm. Like, why wouldn't he? Almost.
Yeah. But
it took a long time to get to that, where I felt that, So anyways, so then fast forward to that night, and I don't know if you remember all the details, but I would go out on the boat with him. He has to fish at night, in the middle of the night. That's the only time that he's able to catch the fish that he fishes for. So we're out in the middle of the night, and he's looking around for hours, and there's no fish. And I haven't said anything. I haven't felt anything. And he goes, where's Jesus? I thought he was going to guide me to the fish. And I said, well, maybe I need to get quiet and tune in. So I closed my eyes, and I got real quiet, and I saw, just in my mind, this location. And it popped up in my mind, and it was not, like, he has to base his fishing locations off of the tide, because he knows typically what the fish do based on what the tide is doing. And the location that popped up into my mind is a spot that he fishes, but not on that tide. Like, it didn't make sense for him to go there. And the big boat that he is a captain on is very slow. So for him to go to that location, I mean, it was going to be hours of time and fuel cost and all of that to go over to a spot that the fish should not be at that tide series. But you went. I told him what popped into my mind, and I was like, this is silly. And I thought he would be like, that makes no sense. I'm not going to go there. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, we'll go there. So he went out of his way by a couple hours to go check it out before we headed back home. And that night you found fish. Mm-hmm. They were, I think we were about an hour past being able to fish on them because they moved onto rocks, but you knew that they were there. So the next night you went right there first, and he caught like the fullest load that you could ask. Like, there was more fish than what he needed. And the rest of and I could feel, like, while he was fishing, I had my eyes closed, and I felt like Jesus's energy was there guiding the fish. I could feel it. It was powerful. And then there was more fish than what he needed, and it was just this really incredible moment. And the rest of the season was like that. Mm-hmm. It was just like more fish than what we needed, like a Forrest Gump moment when the shrimp just show up. Mm-hmm. That's how the rest of the season went. And it was a really important, special moment for our family.
Yeah, it was much needed, and it was such a relief for me. So just one of those things that you can ask and they can help, including Jesus. And you don't have to do anything for him or do anything special. You don't have to be a certain person or have certain beliefs. It's like we just know in our hearts that all he wants for us is to love each other and help each other. And that's enough.
Yeah. What I understand, for what my little human pea brain understands is that he's there for anybody that, like, if you want him in your life, if you want help from him, he's there. But you don't have to have him in your life. Like, that's the tricky part, because people are like, there's certain beliefs out there that are like, you have to believe
and
certain
that's fine.
ways. Yeah.
Like that's everybody's journey here, you know what I mean? Like, to do what they want and believe the things they want and follow their heart and do what they feel is right for them. Like, that's what's awesome about being a human, is we get to make those choices. The problem I have is when other people judge other people's choices just because they've been told to, and it's like, I just don't think that that's a healthy or a kind Jesus-like way to live,
So we're already over 11 minutes, so we're going to cut this video off now, but we're going to finish our Jesus experiences in the next video, and that's where it gets really interesting. And that's where I put poor Jesus through the ringer, because I still wasn't believing it was him, and I'm such a skeptic. I needed so much proof, and he brought it. So yeah. We'll talk about that next time.
So thanks for watching. And if you guys want to follow along with us and hear more of our story, we have a website. If you want to go to 411official.com, you can read about our story there and some things that we're doing and working on. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video. We just want to take a quick minute to talk about our 411 community that we launched recently.
This is a space that we wished existed after our daughter Kenadie passed away. Inside is everything that we've learned about in these last 8 years, about living connected to our daughter across the veil and to the rest of our spirit team that's just waiting to help us. And we have found out that everybody can live connected. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can check out the community at 411together.com. It's something that we wanted to make accessible to everybody that's out there.
There is a cost. It's only $4.11 per month. Just to keep that program rolling. If you guys want to check it out, we appreciate it so much, even if you just want to look into it. We think it's a really valuable tool. You can also follow all of our free content here on YouTube or on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We also have a free guide that we're offering that you can find
down in the description with all the other links. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it more than you guys know.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys a ton. We couldn't do this without you.